Hello, viewers at home. We've probably chopped all this out, but as soon as we started recording, because of course we did, the connection dropped out again because we love being professionals here at HMS Pod. So good, so real. So we're going to start this very sexy episode with a tea review.
Tea of the day. I feel like we need a theme song for tea of the day. We'll come up with one. Actually, reply post. If you're up for making a theme song for HMS Pod's tea of the day, we'll hire you and pay you handsomely in time.
Yeah.
And
we'll pay you in exposure in the 53 views that these episodes get.
We'll give you all of our AdSense.
Tea of the day currently is, what is it? It is lemon, ginger, and manuka honey. This is from my tea advent calendar that my friend got me. It's a different tea every day. I have to say, this tea is very yummy. Not my favourite. I give it maybe like a 6.9 out of 10, but she's very delicious. What tea are you drinking, Alex?
This is vanilla Corino. I forget how to pronounce it. It's like a decaf, very vanilla-y tea, and I really enjoy her.
Yummy. We love to see it. Mm-hmm. Alex, just for the viewers, to upset the viewers at home, Alex did make this tea in the microwave. So
actually, I didn't, Mia.
You didn't? Oh my gosh! How do you make it?
I have a kettle. I think, like I've said before, I choose not to use it sometimes.
Why? Because you just feel like
because the microwave's faster.
That's just incorrect, though. I mean, sure, maybe it is correct, but morally it's incorrect.
It spins,
like ethically, do you not feel wrong?
It gives me a little show while it's making my tea.
Well. Well, that just upsets me.
That's it. And that's what we have to say about that.
Yeah.
Comment below if you're team microwave or team kettle.
And if you are team microwave, just so you know, you will be blocked from this YouTube channel. Thank you.
Or if you're Switch.
Anyway.
Yes, this is very uncomfortable.
There's just so much going on right now. Outer Banks, season 1, episode 3. Are we on 3 or 4?
Oh,
we're on 3.
Yeah, we are on 3.
Oh my god, stop. This may be the last episode that we film alone, which is crazy. It may also not be the last episode we film alone. That could be up to you at home. Do you want to be
viewers at home?
Yeah. Do you want to be the first person on HMS Pod? Sign us up.
So, I guess overall, to review what happened last time, the Pogues found the envelope. It was a good time.
Good time. Great.
Well, kind of. I think we did end last episode saying we were kind of bored again. But I would say 3 was maybe a big turnaround for me in terms of my enjoyment of the show.
Because 3 really picks up, like, the plot. Like, a lot happens in this episode. And I think the plot starts moving quite fast. And I think, like, it's these kind of string of episodes. Like, I think she's, like, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5, where things start really falling into place. That's where I was like, okay, I'm invested now. Like, I can do a full binge of this.
And then 6 and 7 are just, like, good episodes. Like, 3, 4, and 5 pick up. You're kind of in the plot. You start to understand what's going on. And then 6 and 7 are just really good. So, this show, kind of good. That's our review on it right now.
Yeah. Like, Outer Banks kind of slaps.
Kind of slay. A little bit.
I know. Like, honestly, like, maybe a hot take for an Outer Banks podcast. But Outer Banks is kind of good.
Kind of slay.
Have you heard of this new show? So we literally pick off where the episode ended. So Kiara is in the grave. Not literally in the grave. She is literally in the grave, but she is not metaphorically in the grave. She passes through, she finds that the thing that she gasped at the end of the last episode was an envelope, which she passes to John B, and John B opens it, finds it's a message from his father, Big John, that basically telling him to, that if he's listening to this, something may have happened to him, but to pursue his life work and to follow his footsteps in, trying to track down the Royal Merchant. Yeah. What do we think about this, Alex?
I think in rewatch, first of all, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up what everyone... I feel like every time this package is mentioned, someone in the group chat says it. So for all of you, it is ludicrous to me that JJ has been his best friend since 3rd grade and is like, who's Bird? Like, doesn't know that Big John called him Bird. Which I guess it's for the plot, but it's like you went out of your way to establish JJ as the best friend. Kind of sus.
Also, it says that, Big John is sort of established as having disappeared in the last year. So you're like, JJ would have grown up with Big John. Like, it's just, especially knowing what we know about Luke, like, come on. I do not buy that JJ did not know that, but,
just had no idea. I think also in rewatch, one of the big things that hit me was, I don't know if it's in the lens of what we know now, because we've said multiple times that we kind of think, spoiler alert, for season 2, that they're setting up Big John to maybe be a villain or not be,
yeah.
at the very least, not be as good of a person. Definitely not as good of a father as John B. remembers him being. But in this one, I was like, yo, kind of shitty of Big John.
Yeah.
He literally is recording this thing and he's like, I think I'm in danger and I don't think I'm going to make out of this alive. My teenage son, like, this goal that I might die for, if I do, continue the mission. Go die as well for this goal that I might die for, please.
And it's just like, I mean, again, there are so many just ethical questions to ask about that. Like, as a father, if you're like, I'm involved in this very dangerous line of work where I know that there are people after me who want to kill me, and if you're listening to this, have killed me, so you must voluntarily put yourself in the same line of work, which will probably get you killed in the same way. Like Big John, you know, come on. What if John B wants to be a banker? You know what I mean? Like, what then, Big John? You know, what if he wants to be a painter? Like,
a Riverdale-esque plotline of John B trying to choose between accounting and gold hunting. Ow! My God, he didn't like that. Atticus is here with us, and he didn't like that plotline because I said that joke, and he bit the shit out of my thumb. So
Atticus is Big John confirmed. Also, actually,
oh my God, are you Big John?
Big John.
Have you ever seen Atticus and Big John in the same room?
That is true.
No.
Also, I do take back what I said about this being potentially the last episode we don't have a guest, because of course we have a guest, who is the esteemed guest, Mr. Atticus. You know, that was a foresight on my part. I'm sorry, Atticus.
How dare you? I think that might have actually been why he bit my thumb. He's still simmering about that.
Sorry, Atticus.
But I'm with you. I think that, I don't know if it's hindsight, but I was like, dang, kind of shitty. Not a very good father over here.
I'm just saying, if he is evil or like mildly questionable in season 3, then we called it. So
do you think he will be? I mean, we can talk about this later if you want, like in a more relevant Big John episode. Well, there's only really one episode there that'd be relevant. But pick your favorite Big John episode of season 1 and 2. You know?
I honestly think he will be. Like, I don't know if I think he'll be evil, but I definitely don't think he'll be good. You know? Like, I think he'll be a letdown for sure. Like, I mean, did you ever watch Glee?
I kind of, but I'm a little scared where this thread of conversation is going.
Whenever I begin a sentence with, have you ever watched Glee? You should know that it's a bad.
I know it's Glee. If you're comparing Outer Banks to Glee,
be a cursed comparison. But if you have watched Glee and you're listening at home, there's the part in season 1 where, spoiler alert, I guess, where Rachel finds out that Shelby is her birth mother. And Rachel's like super excited. She's like, oh my gosh, my birth mother, I'm reunited with her for the first time in 16 years. And Shelby is like, I don't know how to be a mum. Like, I am not good at this. You know, like, this is really awkward. And they're like, yeah, we should, you know, let's not do this. And I know that he's obviously been gone for a year, but I think, like, faking your own death, because that's essentially what he did. You know, he sort of went off the grid. I was like, that does something to a relationship. You know, it sort of fractures it a little bit. Like, no offense, Big John, but if I had a 16-year-old son and I was in a shipwreck and lost at sea, I would be fighting to get back to him. But, you know, that's just me.
Just a little, maybe.
But yeah, so I don't think he'll be evil in season 3, but I don't think he'll be good either.
I think that I forget how I found this the other day, but one of the Pates had a quote about Big John coming back, and they basically were like, I mean, that's almost exactly word for word what they said, where they were like, John B might have to end up reconciling this idealized image of who he has of his father in his head. Wow, that was a really convoluted way to say that. This idealized image of his father that he's kept and like held on to for a year with who his father actually is. So as soon as I read that quote, I was like, okay, well, clearly this is going places, you know? So I think that might be just what it is. I kind of agree. I don't know if he'll necessarily be like the worst person ever. I think he's just not going to be a very good one, maybe. Because a lot of people think that, we'll talk about it. It's fine. We'll save it. But
we'll save it
that was kind of
2x10 when Big John gets his first actual non-flashback moment.
Unpopular theory, 2x10 is not my favorite Big John episode, but whatever.
Oh my gosh, what is your favorite Big John episode?
The one where Ward pushes him and he hits his little head, his little noggin.
So true. That's funny. In the comments below, tell us your favorite Big John episode.
Please, we want to know.
Favorite Big John moment, ranked 1 to 10.
Favorite Big John episode. I'll make a Big John edit.
Yeah, please.
To like, I don't know, what's a popular
You're on your own,
song?
kid.
From like Dynasty, you remember that song that was so big in like old fandom edits?
Oh my god, yeah.
You want me to sing it for you right now?
Yeah, please do.
And the all I gave you is gone. You know that one?
Yes, No, it's coming back to me now.
Catchy.
Thank you. I think you should sing. I think you should sing in the bar of it just for everyone.
Wow, we're really on one this episode.
Mm.
We're not even past the first talking point.
I know. I'm sorry. I also just had a biscuit.
Kind of slay of us. I came in full. We got some energy going on here. Anyways.
I know. I'm absolutely feral. It's also like yesterday I had a nap at 7 p.m. and woke up at 10 p.m. And I think my entire routine has been thrown off from there.
Okay, well, that's the issue here. I've been spending my day around babies, and they're dumb. They can't hold a conversation with me, you know?
They can't talk about thanks. So what's the point of them?
What's the point? I was sitting around. Oh, speaking of that. Oh, shit, I forgot to message Annie. As me and I are recording this, it is 1 year since the announcement of season 3.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, everyone. Happy anniversary. So, I don't know why I said that as if I was just mocking you doing an American accent, but I literally have an American accent, so whatever. But it's been 3 years, so everyone was kind of a little like, are we going to get something today if we get something while we're recording? I don't think we will because it's past kind of like Netflix's little sweet spot where they like to release stuff. But Annie, US Annie, is on standby to call my actual phone if something happens, and me and I will live react. So I kind of hope that happens.
Yeah, it'll be quite fun. You know, we'll get the we'll title something really clickbaity, like House Bank season 3 on tape? Question mark, question mark, question mark. 1 question mark, exclamation mark. That was a bad clickbait title, but we'll brainstorm. We've got time.
Yeah, we can sit on it. Anyways. I don't know. I think that the whole like 4-bird thing or stuff like that, I do remember being annoyed by like weird little lines, like I said, where we didn't have a season 2 yet, and it was still like impossible to suss out if it was like, you know, like spoon feedy writing. Because here's the thing. Do you think that they knew they were going to bring Big John back in season 1?
Yes.
For sure,
right? I think so.
Yeah, like they didn't show his body, so it's like...
Yeah, and I think they were like, and to be fair, I think always in like teen dramas, it's sort of like a rule now that you have to, if you have a character who is presumed dead, like you have to keep it wide enough open that they can come back at some time. You know what I mean?
Especially parents. If they're gone,
they love reviving dead parents.
There are so many absent parents in this show, and it's like, are they going to bring them back? You're a teen drama, so I'm going to say probably.
It's like, don't, unless you see a dead body, they're not dead. And even sometimes if you do see a dead body, shout out Will Byers, you know, they're probably still not dead. So
not dead.
Again, mild spoiler alert for season 1 of Stranger Things, but
wow.
I know.
How dare you? I was gonna watch that.
Oh, so sorry to bring it up for you.
So then after they find the package, we do have the really sweet moment of like Key comforting John B.
I think I'll talk about this a little bit later in the episode, but I think the John B. Kiara bestieism in this episode is actually off the charts, and it's so good, and I love it, and it's just chef's kiss. And I think that moment, like if there's one thing I'm grateful for the John B. Kiara kiss, and when I mean one thing, I mean one thing, like the only thing I'm grateful for that kiss, is I think it sort of very firmly draws a line in the sand, being like all these interactions going forward are very firmly platonic. Like you can not read. They're like, you actually can't read any romantic intent, any of these gestures from now on. And I think that's like and I'm really grateful for that, because it means that this hug between them in the doorway is like genuinely just like a show of like friendship.
I love you,
like,
you're my best friend. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like and I'm really glad that is painted so definitively as like, these are just two best friends who obviously really care about each other. So shout out John B. Kiara Kiss, the one thing you've done well.
Yeah, for real. I think, I don't know, because also, do you think JJ's characterization is off in this scene? We kind of talked about it in the car thing last time, but he's like kind of freaking out. Maybe not. I mean, he's kind of freaking out and just like no emotional intelligence towards the fact that maybe hearing Big John's voice for the first time in a year is going to be emotional for John B.
Yeah. I think it's just like, especially in these early episodes, I think JJ is it's a little bit stupid. You know, and he always is stupid, and I think he keeps that charm throughout. But I think it's like, yeah, definitely in the later episodes when we kind of find more out about him. And I think it's like sort of next episode, the episode after that is where we really started to get into JJ's character. But I think before then, he almost feels like I don't want to say caricature, because I don't think he does, but he sort of feels almost like kind of flat. He's this like impulsive risk taker who's like not very sensitive to people's feelings. And it's only when we get this background on him, we get the obviously cat's ass scene. Cat's ass. That sounds terrible in my accent. Cat's arse. Ass. Let's cut that all out. Absolutely not. But that scene in the hot tub, I think that's when he becomes sort of more sensitive. I guess maybe because we now know this other side to him. But yeah, I think rewatching these episodes, I'm like, interesting.
Well, because then also later on, I mean, yes, I think he's portrayed as stupid, almost like, I mean, I can't think of another word for it, like in these episodes, But then later on, he's like the plan guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, his plans are reckless, but like he comes up with stuff all the time. Like I think that in season 2, they do a better job of characterizing JJ's like he's always thinking. Like he's never just like brain dead, you know? Like John B, brain dead sometimes. JJ, I don't think so. I don't know. But part of me is like, yes, this is kind of out of character because surely JJ of all people would know how John B felt about like hearing Big John's voice. Oh my god, all these fucking J names. Like just sitting here and saying that sentence makes me want to kill myself. But
you did well.
I think that jump off a bridge. But then it's also kind of like, okay, well maybe it is in character because he's so easily excitable and kind of distractible that I think he loses sight of emotional stuff sometimes. Maybe. I don't know what I'm saying. It's just interesting to me. It was a weird reaction from him. But if we got the key comforting John B hug from it, I'm fine. And then after that, the Pogues go to the dock. We have this kind of iconic, I'd call it iconic.
Like,
I think it's scene where they all sit and talk about what they would do with their portion of the money. And this is interesting to me. Like, actually very interesting.
Yeah, it sort of reveals a lot about all the characters. Like, in a way that I think, like, John B's little voiceover didn't do. So we find out that JJ would go, in his words, full kook. He'd get, like, a huge house on Figure 8, getting, you know, marble statues of himself, you know, which I think that feels very, like, that feels quite JJ to me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that feels very, like, do you think that's what he really wants? Like, as in, do you think that's, like, yeah, me too. I think this definitely feels like, I think he'd be happy with this. But I think this definitely feels a little bit like bravado to me.
I think he's kidding. Like, he's totally joking because we wrote this note. Here, he's like, he's the first one to, oh my god, also, can we, the moment where he's like, what about you, Key? When he, like, specifically goes and looks at her and is like, what do you want?
Oh my god.
I don't know why that kills me every time. This one look at the fire, I put it in, like, all of my edits, like, Key laughing and then him looking over at her. Something about it. But, so he initially says, you know, like he's going full kook or whatever. But I don't think that's true.
No.
Because we wrote this note, but because later, you know, Surf Trip comes up, which seems a lot more on brand, perhaps. For what he actually wants. And then what did you think about Keys?
I mean, I love it. And you made this note as well, that you said that we like what happened to this Key music arc. Because I think this would be such a cool Key thing to do. And we've seen her before early in the season, like with her little ukulele and stuff. And I wish that this was like a theme that they kept up. Because I think the idea of Key with her little, like Key on like her music arc, that would be so fun. And I feel like it would be very realistic for what she wants to do in life. You know what I mean? Like this felt like a very in-character Key thing. And I'm pissed that they dropped it. So hashtag.
Yeah, she pulls it out one time in season 2, but that's like the only other time. Because I think that's only because Bailey plays you.
Yeah, and can sing.
So I don't know. That's just interesting to me. Also, I think I get, because she talks about how she wants to make a demo album specifically about the Outer Banks and the Pogues. He kind of always gives me the impression that she cares the most about, like, their friend group.
Yeah,
like, having an actual group. You know, like she's always the one that brings it up. I don't know if that's just me.
No, I get that as well. I think I think maybe it is something to do with the fact that obviously she still has this guilt from her kook here in a way that she's just like really emphasizing the fact that like she like these are her people now. Like this is, you know, like she maybe left them a little bit before, but these are her people. Yeah, I think there's maybe a little bit of that in it. But I think also, you know, these are her best friends and she adores them. Yeah. So
interesting. I would like to say it's characterization from her kook year and that the Pates are geniuses, but
again,
on the show, they mean to do that, or
again, we can have another jingle. Submit your jingles for are the Pates geniuses, or are we reading too hard into everything? Yeah.
Did the Pates make that up, or did they do that on purpose? Who knows?
Who knows? We'll turn that into a jingle.
We'll work on it. We'll workshop it. Yeah. Pope also says you have a very funny note about popes, actually. Would you like to say it, Mia? Because it's
sure. I think Pope, you know, he says that he'll pay for college and textbooks, and I said unrealistic. 100 mil would never cover that. Which is the hashtag Ruth. Yeah, come on, Pope, be real. Especially if he's living, you know, if he's having to commute, the grocery shopping. Are you joking? In the cost of living crisis right now?
Who does he think he is? Not in this economy.
No, 100 mil maybe last him, 6 months? Less than that?
Yeah.
I wish we almost got more from Pope in this moment, because I feel like textbooks is very, like, stereotypical. He's the smart one, you know? I'm like, couldn't have gotten...
It's very flat. I mean, there's not much to it.
I'm just like, we couldn't have gotten anything about what his actual interests are, because I'm sure he has some that aren't studying. You know, like, what happened to dead bodies, you know?
Yeah. Where's the dead people?
Yeah, where are the dead people? But, you know, Hashtag YOLO, I guess. And then, yeah, and then John B doesn't really reveal his, or he kind of says full kook as well. So
I think John B is still at this point. It's all about like his dad and his dad's legacy. I don't think John B ever actually cares about the money.
I think it's just like, yeah, I think he's like, I think obviously the 100 mil is obviously, or no, sorry, even 400 mil is obviously very appealing to him, especially I think when he then obviously goes into, or like attempts to get pulled into the foster system. But yeah, I definitely think at this point he cares more about sort of finishing his father's legacy. Yeah, what you said, legacy, like following his father's footsteps. I think he cares more about that and sort of kind of finishing and completing his father's life work than really any money from it. You know what I mean? Like I think he wants to find the gold for his dad. Whereas I think, and not to blame them at all, because I'd be exactly the same. I think the rest of the Pokes are just sort of in it for the 100 mil, which, like, who can blame them? Not me. Certainly not me.
So after the Pogues' little iconic scene where they're all talking about what they would do with the money and so on and so forth, we flash to the Kooks doing a big beach cleanup. Sarah and Topper are there. They're wasted because somebody brought a Nalgene bottle of vodka and Crystal Light. Sarah kind of like tells Topper about the encounter with John B earlier, and Topper continues to be classist about it and talking about Pogues and
yummy Topper.
And then Wheezy, our queen, Wheezus Christ,
our bestie,
tosses back all of the shit in the bottle.
Read the rest of your line, Alex.
She tosses the shit back, and then she just tosses that shit right back up. And like literally the next scene that we see her in. And Sarah's like, since when did you start drinking? And she's like, since today.
What a queen. We love her.
Okay, girl.
Like,
start whenever you want.
She is the icon. Also, I did make a note that it is so funny that the way they're talking about it, they're like, oh, you're so bad. This is so strong. And it's like vodka and Crystal Light. Like, girl, come on.
I bet it's like also 80% Crystal Light too. It's hardly any vodka.
I mean, to be fair, I roast that is how I drink my drinks. I mix it like
with a straw.
Yeah, exactly, with a straw, with ice and a straw. Because I know how to drink things here. I mean, did I ever tell you I used to be a bartender? I used to be a bartender when I had those bad alcohol opinions. What a joke.
Have they gotten any better, would you say?
No, because the bar shut down because he found drugs behind it. So
yeah.
I was not part of the drugs. I was just the blind accomplice.
That is honestly maybe one of the most accurate descriptors of yourself you could have given.
Yeah.
Blind accomplice.
Blind accomplice to the drug trade that was going on behind my back. So we have, the drinking, the drunkenness. And meanwhile, the Pogues go to an internet cafe to pick up coordinates from Big Dog's map because the Wi-Fi is out across the island, which we can relate to because we've cut this all out for the viewers at home.
We are the island.
We are the island. This wouldn't be an HS Pod episode if Alex's Wi-Fi didn't cut out, my microphone didn't cut out, we got interrupted. It's a great time. We're having a great time here.
Robot.
Yeah. Like the glitching is now we're leaning into the glitching now. We think this is like a stylistic choice at this point, the glitches. So have fun with that, guys. For your viewing pleasure. So anyway, they go to the island has no Wi-Fi, so they go to an internet cafe, or I think it's like, does JJ work here, do you think?
Oh, well, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah,
because in season 2, isn't he serving tables? He's bussing. So. Yeah, so he does work there.
Yeah, which we love. We love a working king. And then they find the coordinates and they kind of discuss, they're like, oh, we can get a drone, like the opposite of a sky drone, a sea drone. And they can get it because Luke works in the shipyard. Now, this is the first mention of JJ's home life because JJ mentions that Luke used to work at the shipyard before he got fired because apparently showing up to work drunk was not acceptable. Now, this is the first mention that we get of JJ's, father. What do we think about this? Do you think it was, like, were you expecting this reveal? Would you even call it a reveal?
I think at this point I didn't know the show well enough, but I think that my expectations for it were like at the baseline of maybe JJ's dad was just gonna be like kind of a drunkard, or like, oh, that's just how like life is sometimes on this side of the island, like there's addiction, whatever. I didn't think, because we'll get to it when we get to it, which is not this episode, I don't think, but like the first time that we see Luke, that scene is so startling. Like the turnaround, when they're in the car, which we'll talk about in the next episode, but like so I think how shocked I was like, I was not expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting it to be that bad, maybe. So I don't know. No, that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And also, I totally forgot that JJ mentions he works there in season 1 because we see it at the very beginning of season 2 when he gets fired from there, but that wasn't like that big of a deal to me in my head.
No. I think in my head, because I'd forgotten that he might have worked there, but I think in my head, I thought that this is a job he'd gotten over the summer. Like, this was like a new job he'd gotten and he'd just been fired from. But it makes sense that he does work there because that kind of, I guess that makes sense to me. And I think it is very sweet the way he walks in and he's like talking to her. He's like talking to all the chefs. He like knows everyone by name.
Oh yeah, he has that like interaction with, and she's like, doesn't she say something like, I'm not giving you any more free food, or
yeah, and then he tries to steal like a prawn or something off a plate and she slaps his hand away, which is like a sweet gesture, but also when you think about it too hard, you're like, how many times has JJ been coming in here asking for free food? You know?
Yeah, no thanks. What if I just didn't think about it though?
Yeah, what if we didn't think about that and moved on?
I like that option a lot more.
Yeah, well, segue. I feel like I just ruined the segue by saying segue, but segue. Yeah, so we'll really subtly dive on from that to the next scene where the Cameron house, where Wheezy is throwing up from vodka, and because we love a hangover queen, and then we also get the first inklings that not everything is right with Rafe and Ward, because Rafe and Ward are discussing. It's revealed that Rafe took Ward's money that was meant to be used for business ventures and spent it on a motorbike, which, talk about being an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like, that is...
It was an investment. Because how else were we supposed to get shots of him riding a motorbike throughout the season, I ask you, if he didn't buy it? So...
Yeah. So, and then later we have the most iconic, most upper class thing he's ever said was, you can do coke off the motorbike. And I was like, honestly, slaking. Like, that is honestly, the worst thing you've ever said. Yeah.
So true, bestie. Also, I think, okay, Wheezy, such a fucking great sister.
So good.
If you didn't know by now, I love Wheezy Cameron, but what I love even more than Wheezy Cameron is the wasted potential of her and Sarah, because I think Wheezy's the only person in this family. No, I don't think. I know. Wheezy is the only person in this family who has not done Sarah wrong. And they clearly have a very good relationship. Like, even before everything.
Yeah.
This whole scene of, like, Sarah holding her hair in the toilet and then being like, you owe me. Can you, like, lay in bed for me? And, like, I won't tell that you're drunk right now. I don't know. I think it's established actually pretty well. And they seem very comfortable with each other, which there's a scene even a little bit later that really, like, drove that home for me. But God, she's such a good sister. Slay. Queen. Sister Slay.
And then, so after the reveal that Rafe spent all the money on the motorcycle, he then drives this motorcycle to the Crackdown. And you can tell that I was merely a blind accomplice for drugs, because I called it a Crackdown, which is probably not the name for it. And this is something that we actually noticed when we were doing this rewatch. Rafe bumps into Luke on the way into Barry's house, as in Luke, JJ's dad. And I think I made a note that I think it's so interesting because Luke is in this scene, Luke is such a passive character here. Like, he's on screen for maybe about 3 seconds, and he says like a really throwaway line to Rafe. I can't remember what the line is. It's something about like, watch your step or something like that. It's like something something very inconsequential, which is so interesting because this is a detail that's only rewarded in rewatches. Like, this is not, the camera doesn't linger on him long enough that I think you remember him.
Like, we don't know who this man is.
Yeah, and doesn't linger on him long enough that when we do meet him as JJ's father, that we instantly, or at least for me, I didn't immediately be like, oh, that's the guy from the Crackdown. So I think it's like really interesting, and I really love this detail. I love that they've kind of thrown this in as like a really like subtle introducing of JJ's dad, but also a very sad one as well.
So then yet another instance of where the paint's so subtle that I was like, oh my God, like, this is a very passive way to be like, JJ's dad frequents here and like brushes shoulders with people like Rafe Cameron, and like, he has an addiction problem and blah, blah, blah. Or did the paints just like were so, it was almost too subtle where they thought that people were going to pick up on it. But there's no way that we would have already known that because we haven't seen Luke yet. So like, how are we to know from this 2-second shot that this is JJ's spot? So are they smart?
Or are they really dumb, and were they really strapped for extras and were like, right, we've got this one character we haven't introduced yet.
They won't remember you. You haven't been here yet. No one's going to rewatch this season.
Except us, because we're insane and psychos. But yes, so we meet JJ's dad, we see JJ's dad, and then who we do meet is our king, the love of our life, Mr. Barry. I was going to say, I forgot, I don't know if he has a surname, so we'll just call him Barry. I'd like the record to say that this is a Rary zone, #Rary.
This is a very safe zone.
We stan Rary in this house. And honestly, I think they should have kissed in the scene.
It was right there.
Yeah. It was
and
right
they
there. The
tumbled back. Well, and also, do you think it was ever actually going to happen?
I mean, realistically, probably not. But I love it. I'm obsessed with the idea of it. It's just so funny, especially like in season 2 when they spend more time together and Rafe is really on his psychopath arc, and you just see Barry get more and more freaked out. That is absolutely hilarious.
No, when I was rewatching, it was cracking me up.
Mm.
Like, you see Barry getting more and more like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, he's like
actually does not want any part of it. And also, this is just very irrelevant. Barry is very crusty, and
he is. They cast him well.
Nick is so hot. Like, again,
like
same,
not to
same
be
with Drew and Rafe. Rafe is so greasy to me. Drew could get it.
Yeah, like not to be a Rafe apologist here, but Drew, he could get it.
I'm an apologist. I won't be a Rafe one, you know.
That's true. But hashtag Rary for life. So this is essentially the scene just establishes that Rafe has a drug problem. We know, which I was gonna say we stand. We don't stand.
No, we don't stand
No,
drugs. One thing we don't stand on the HMS pod, drugs.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Or
we'll end up like Rafe Cameron.
Yes, he's our poster child. So after the Pogues go to the salvage yard to go try to get this underwater camera thing, Key is used to distract the guard, which in a very uncomfortable scene that I had the police, I had 911 dialed. I was ready to go, but I didn't have to use it. I would have if they'd kept in the Mr. 16 thing.
We'll get to that. I will get to that this episode. But
so then they're all as dumb as rocks. They get caught and chased by a dog for a hot minute, and JJ saves them by lying. So much to unpack in the scene. First of all, Key is a man scammer, and for that we love her.
She is the moment. She is the reason. And I love her for that. I've said in my notes, I would literally kill a person for Kiara Carrera same tweet. And I stand by that. I stand by that now. I stand by that then. I will stand by that forever. That is Kiara Carrera is a philosophy at this point, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Also, I think he doesn't get enough credit for how smart she is. They would be dead. Yeah. You said this, I think, last episode, but, like, she is the Hermione of the group in that they would be dead so many times over without Kiara. And this is one of them. Mm-hmm. Like, her letting the air out of the tires with her bobby pin. Genius. Love it. Slay. Yes, huge slay. Okay, also, this is the scene where JJ, Pope, and John B are waiting for her to distract the guard enough so that they can run in. And JJ's like, so Key, she like definitely gave you the Heisman. And John B's like, oh yeah, no question. And JJ's like, huh, gotcha.
And he is so fucking happy about this. Like, literally, why do you care? JJ, why do you care?
Also, the way he's saying it, he's literally holding back a smile.
Yeah, like he's ecstatic.
He's shit-eating grinning right now.
Like, I'm sorry, if I were John B and I'd just been turned down by a girl I kind of liked, and my best friend was smiling like that, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like,
well, and then JJ says, honestly, dude, I didn't actually think you were going to go for it. Then why did you push it so hard? Like, almost the car scene, the van scene, why did that matter at all then?
It's just like... I'll iterate this again. JJ sounds jealousy is all I'm saying.
But it's also... I don't know. It's very interesting that it is only JJ pushing him towards it. And then Pope has the famous line that gets twisted as it should and used for Jiara edits. Maybe she's just into somebody else.
Oh, and twisted. We deserve that line. Like, that line is ours. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we really... Pope said that is a pokey line. We said, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And that is ours now.
We did appropriate that. Sorry, Pope. Appropriate that.
I'm going to cancel this fucking podcast. That's it.
Okay, anyway. That's quite good.
In lieu of Annie being here, I'm going to actually... 5 out of 10.
You know what? I'll take that. I was expecting you to say 3. I'll take a 5 out of 10.
No, like, I was going... Actually, that was the number I was going to go with, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, that was actually very... Like, you didn't have to jump too far for that. You know what I mean? It was right there. So, yeah, I think this is a jealous JJ moment. Moments like these, this is one of the main ones from season 1 where it genuinely blows my mind that they try to sell it off as Jiara was not intentional.
This is what I'm saying, because it's just like, there are some points that I'm just like, how else are you meant to read this? Like, what?
It's
like, what the hell?
He continues to bring it up. He keeps bringing it up.
There is no non-Jiara explanation for why JJ is so happy in the scene. You know?
He's literally holding back a smile, and he's like, gotcha, huh? Yeah. And he's like, I didn't think you were going to do it. Yes, he did. He did. He thought that he was into him.
Like, for what reason is JJ so invested? Like, he's not that good of a friend. Come on, let's be real.
No, he's not. One thing about JJ Maybank, he's not that good. I'm kidding. Don't stop listening right now.
Let the record say that was a joke.
It was a joke. It was a bit. Don't stop listening. He's a great friend.
Hashtag good friend JJ.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that scene other than there's no non-Jiara explanation for.
No, but yeah, I think I will say about the scene then later, or the scene that follows this one, where they where they shake the one brain cell loose and they lose it somewhere in the junkyard, and it's just them operating on absolutely just with empty skulls. This is the scene where because I think I've mentioned in early episodes, JJ was a bit of a grower on me. He took a while for me to walk to him, and this was the scene where I was like, okay, you are my best friend. I don't know why, something about the fact that when the way he lies, and then the way he it literally starts almost tearing up, and then he walks away and he smiles. I was like, oh, we're about to be best friends. I love that. I was just he's so manipulative in the scene, and I was like, that's so. I love that so much. I was like,
so he is the moment. One thing I will say, I can't remember. I think I saw a post. It was a tweet maybe about this. Because in this moment when he gets caught, the guy catches him, and JJ's like, my dad made me come back here. He's been hitting me again. Blah blah blah. You know how he is. First of all, ow, because there's people in JJ's life that know this is happening, and adults who know this is happening, they're still not doing anything about it.
Yeah. No, the fact that also, just before you give you a second point, the fact that JJ's he said that if I don't bring this back, my dad will hit me, and then the guy just lets him walk away empty-handed.
The guy's like, oh yeah, you're right, he will.
I'm like, excuse me, you're a security guard.
You're an adult. Yeah, there's people in his life that literally know this is happening. But anyway, Shoop is clearly clued in. Peterkin's clued in. They make mentions of it, whatever. But the tweet that I saw was basically have you ever noticed how in JJ's lies, which I can't think of any more examples off the top of my head, but I think in season 2 it kind of happened again. When JJ lies, there's always a little bit of truth in it. So then later on, in I think it's 7, when they're in the pawn shop with the lady, and
he's talking
he says my mom has dementia. And he starts talking about it, and he's like, she's losing her mind, whatever. People have been like, do you think there's any truth in that? Ooh. Because he always lies and tells a little bit of the truth.
Interesting. I mean, because I was literally about to bring up, I was like, the whole manipulative walking away with tears in his eyes and smiling, it felt very Styles Stilinski to me, and I don't know why. And the dementia mom.
So Styles coded.
The dementia mom. Hello? So come on. These parallels are drawing themselves. It is.
If that's the case, I don't think it is.
Me either, but I love it. I will ride. This was a headcanon, I will ride. But yeah, anyway, this was the thing where I fell in love with JJ, and this was the thing where I was like, right, yes, we are going to be besties.
Yeah, if you're Ray, close your ears, because apparently you didn't fall in love with JJ until season 2. But we will.
Ray, I wouldn't say this is not a safe space for you, but this is a tentative space for you.
This is a threat level.
It's a tepid space for you,
maybe.
Just be vigilant.
Just watch your back. But it's fine. Sleep with one eye open. Sleep with one eye open, but you can rest it sometimes. You don't have to nap with one eye open either.
Yeah. Sleep one eye open. Like a cat. Anyway. Sorry, Ray, we love you.
Wait for her to listen to this. Anyway.
Yeah.
Would you like to lead to the next point?
Of course. So after this next scene, we have a shot of, a fishing ship, a fishing boat, if that's the right word for it, where the fisherman finds, dun dun dun, 2 dead bodies in the fishing nets. And guess who these 2 dead bodies are? The Marshmen. That's right, the same Marshmen who chased 4 16-year-olds around a marsh with a shotgun, and then chased another 16-year-old around with another shotgun until he ran into a electric fence. These are 2 Marshmen who've shown up dead in the nets. I wonder what that could be. Are they murdered, or did something else happen? Or yeah, wow, I'd be so good at horror trailers in case you couldn't tell.
You are a detective among men.
I know. And then, so that scene is established. And that's what gets kicks the mystery into action, because it's we have established, we've established that these Marshmen, for some reason, after John B, because he has a compass, this death compass that saved his life. But now these Marshmen have shown up dead. So you're coincidence? I think not. And this is sort of when, you start being right, there are things afoot, things at play.
Something smells fishy.
Jail for 100 years. Although that was a 7 out of 10. I'll give you that one.
Thank you.
Anyway, so after this, because Outer Banks really know how to sustain a mood. So after this shot of this hand in the fishing nets, it flashed to a kook party. Because they're like, we know how to, break tension. So there's a kook party, Sarah Topper there, Rafe is also there, running around dealing drugs, because of course he is. I think Sarah and Topper on the roof, and they then jump into the pool from like the second floor. I'm like, girl, I will talk about this, but like, I don't care if that man was Jesus Christ. I would absolutely not trust a man to drop me. Are you joking?
If he's not ascending with me, I'm not jumping off that roof.
No, thank you. I'm pretty sure that's like a Bible story, with like him on the roof with the devil, and
Jesus
I'm like
holding the pool, man.
Yeah. And I would fail. And then after the party, Sarah and Topper are on the roof again. This time, Topper is nowhere near the edge, nowhere near forcing Sarah to jump off it.
He is on the edge, actually, just not
He's on the edge of something. And then they're about to do the sexy times when Topper says, "I love you," and Sarah freaks out and starts being like, "Actually, no, I don't think I'm ready." And then Topper acts like an actual man baby and storms off.
I hate this scene so much.
Me too. I think it's just like, first of all, I do think it's very interesting in that it very much establishes Sarah's weird issues with intimacy. Like the fact that she's very ready to have sex with Chopper, and then Chopper's like, "I love you," and immediately she's like, "No, cut the cameras."
Cut the cameras. Dead ass. First of all, we talked about this in episode 1, but I love a party scene. And we don't get enough of them. I need at least 2. Because stuff always goes so batshit wrong in parties. And then also, obviously, my little Jiara brain is like, stuff can happen at parties. But anyways, Sarah's whole like commitment, abandonment issues, character arc, plot point is so weird and unfleshed out. Like they don't touch it in season 2. I don't know if it's supposed to be like she's over it now because her and John B are together. Because her with the Pogues, like, she has no issues with them. She clearly has issues, like, abandonment-wise with... So then it's like, okay, what is this, though? Where does this come from?
Is it an issue with your father or with your boyfriends?
Her mom?
It's just like, there's a lot going on.
They don't... It's very confusing and weird. Like, they don't really... Because then they use that again as, like, her reason, which we'll get into, for not, like, her and Kiara's big friendship breakup. But it's like, what? That doesn't... Anyway...
Another reason why Outer Banks pisses off part 2, because I do think that this would have been, because I remember watching this first time and being like, this is like a really interesting thing they're developing. I think the fact that they sort of, it's like they
get your clown shoes out as soon as you say that with the pace.
Yeah,
this is a really interesting
that
thing
is a warning.
They're developing. I wonder where this will go.
Yeah, if you ever start thinking, this is a plot thread, run, because it's not.
Don't think that.
It's like you pull it and you think you're gonna unravel a jumper, and it's just like one little like flake comes out.
Pates, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. I love you so much. Please give us Jiara. You're geniuses among men.
Yeah, please give us season 4. But I think it's just like, I think the fact that this plotline pretty much falls flat as soon as Kiara and Sarah have their reconciliation on the boat in Parcel 9, I want to say. But I think this could have been really interesting, and the fact that it's not developed, R.I.P. R.I.P. really mentally ill Sarah. You had potential.
And I made a note about this, but like, okay, first of all, Topper in this scene is such a child. Like, oh my god, I wanted to punch. I've never wanted to punch Topper more than this one scene.
No,
I don't understand why. I can't think of another time.
Smarmy.
Yeah, it's awful. Like the way that he gaslights her about it and stuff, and he just every quintessential thing that a man would say in this moment. But I made a note about this, and because I feel like there's a lot of different points where we could talk about this, but at this point I was wondering if Topper was going to be a big role in the redemption for season 2. But then I think in rewatch for season 2, he's just obsessed with Sarah. That's his whole character arc. Like every good thing that he does is just for Sarah. It's not like to do the right thing. It's to get in Sarah's pants.
He just is like, he's been reduced to like a Sarah simp in season 2, which like I don't hate because I think it's hilarious. But like there's a point I think in like I think the next episode, I think they almost tried to do like a Topper sympathy line. Like Topper and his mum. And I think it's just like I think they very quickly, I know, it's very, but I think they very quickly realised that Topper works best as like a one-dimensional, I can't even call him a villain, because I mean, he's definitely, this is, I think, his worst scene. A one-dimensional
plot obstacle.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because I think this is one of his worst scenes, I think, but like, because from here out, he just gets annoying, like, he's just kind of around, like a fly that just won't leave you alone. You know when those flies that like, get in through a tiny window, and then you open the door, and they just can't find the door? And you're like, bitch, literally there's like an 8 foot window for you to fly through. But of course, you're hitting every single like closed window. Like no one wants you here.
Bitch.
Chopper like paraglides in. We're like, what would get you to leave? You're not wanted.
Go away.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this scene was a lot. But then afterwards, we do get Topper doing coke. It's implied that this is his first time doing coke because he's so bad at it. At one point, I think
bad at coke could be me.
Yeah.
I almost said could it be me. I've never done cocaine. You do?
No.
I don't know why I'm being so shifty about it.
Don't do drugs, kids. But he is such a, I do that. This part, maybe, I mean, this happens a bit later in the episode, but Topper is actually such a loser about coke. Like I think there's one part like on the golf course where he and Rafe talking about it, and he's just, I'm like, you're not cool at all. He's like, man, that was just such a rush. It stopped me from doing, like, he's like, let's just do more. And I'm like, Topper, shut the fuck up. Like, you're not.
Stop speaking to me. I kind of thought that Topper X drug addiction arc was going to be a thing for a second, but
Me too.
It wasn't.
Because this is kind of like, I don't know, because I don't really know where they're going with this. Because like, I mean, I don't know, because I don't think this was maybe establishing, but I think it's just like, I don't know what the point of him doing this line of coke was, because it's not really ever touched on again.
Who knows?
Who knows?
It's just Topper having a good time. I think Topper just needed to unwind a little bit.
Yeah.
From his awful rejection of not getting to have sex that night.
Ugh, that's so tragic. Topper, your life is so hard.
But then after this party, honestly, okay, this is the scene I was talking about. One of my favorite Sarah scenes. Sarah goes home, crawls into bed with Wheezy to talk about what happened, and I adore the scene because
it's so good.
It's so good, and to me, they did a very good job of playing it and writing it. Like, it's a very well written scene because I very much get the feeling that this happens a lot. Like, this is a thing that happens. Is like Sarah goes into Wheezy's bed to debrief after parties or to talk about serious things. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Something about the way it's written, the way that they play it, like, this isn't like a first time thing. Also, I think it's not just a one time thing of like Wheezy sitting in the bed for Sarah so that she can sneak out. Like, it seems like this happens a lot.
And I think it's just like, I don't know, I think, it's just like really sweet. I think it just really reveals a lot. And I think also the fact that Sarah is so open with Wheezy about how she was feeling. Like, she's kind of like she's very honest and being like, yeah, like I thought I was ready with Topper, but I wasn't. He reacted this way. It's just like Wheezy, Sarah, supremacy, honestly.
Also consent queen, because Wheezy's like, he stopped, right? Like, he didn't,
Wheezy's watched the T. Did you ever watch the T consent video? Was that a thing you had to watch in the US?
No.
I feel like, shout out UK citizens who probably know what I'm talking about. To like learn about consent, we watched this video about tea. And it's like basically like equating consent to tea. It's like you wouldn't force someone to have a cup of tea, or if someone asks you to make them a cup of tea and then you bring them the cup of tea and they don't want it anymore, you wouldn't force it down their throat. You would make an unconscious person drink a cup of tea.
The imagery of you prying someone's mouth open and pouring scalding hot tea down their throat.
Yeah, I think because they were like, how do we, what young hip thing can we relate consent to the young British youth? And they were like, I know.
That is the most British thing I've ever heard. Of course it's not in America. Equating it to a cup of tea.
Everyone pause this right now and watch the tea.
You guys are caricaturing yourself at this point.
I know. I am I'm a collection of cliches at this point. But anyway, all to say, Wheezy is a woke queen and Topper is king. So you can quote that.
Wait, Topper is what?
A broke king. Because, sort of woke.
I just heard your microphone cut out, so it just sounded like you said, Wheezy is a consent queen, Topper is king. I was like, no, that's not the point we're trying to get across here.
I'm sorry, this episode's actually so unhinged. I don't know what's going on.
Because imagining Topper as like a little... I'm picturing Topper with a crown, but it's like a Fairly Odd Parents crown that tiny and floats above his head. It's not a real one.
I picture it so clearly.
Well, he's going to be parasailing next season, so maybe he'll float like Cosmo and Wanda a little bit.
Oh my god. Topper, I love you. I don't actually love you at all, but you would
Ben and Topper with his Cosmo and Wanda crown.
This in the show is so fucking funny. He sort of just symbolizes all the reasons why the show is so ridiculous and why I love it so much.
Topper. That was not funny. It's not funny, Alex. It's not that funny. Okay.
Consent is key. Make sure you're checking in with your partner every time you have sex with them. Anyway. And that's been a PSA.
All that to say,
Anyway, next on Outer Banks. So after the moment where Sarah and Wheezy have a little chat, JJ and Pope don't go on a grocery run for Hayward because Key, they go to the wreck with John B and Kiara. And Key convinces Daddy Mike to let the boys into the restaurant to eat. They have a really sweet like dance moment, all of them, and swallowing my bile, we get the first hints at Pokey. Oh, yucky.
No, literally the first hint at Pokey. Barring like maybe if you count the
maybe she likes
someone else line. But I remember watching this scene, and at this point I knew I shipped Jiara. I had seen some like gifs from further episodes of Jiara, but I tried to stay off of Twitter sphere. But I remember seeing this scene for the first time and being like, wait, no, they're not. Like this came out. Where was this? What is this? I was like, surely they are not setting up Pope and Kiara, because this would have come out of fuck all nowhere.
Yeah, I was like, they wouldn't be doing this an episode after they wrapped Kiara and John B. Like, they wouldn't be doing that. No? But they did. Of course they did. Because we actually get this really sweet Kiara John B moment. Again, a shout out to the Kiara John B besties. I love you guys this episode. And the dance moment is really cute. But then we get that really long, terrible shot of Pope staring at them. And I'm like, oh God, it's not fun.
Also, the dance for Key and John B is like, could have been more platonic, is my only critique. It's weirdly like a little sexually charged.
I know. And I'm like, I was like, didn't we have this whole thing where we like established that they were best friends now? Like, why are we dancing that close, ladies and gentlemen? But I will say, I think in between the parts of them dancing, there is a really nice moment where Kiara shoves JJ's feet off the table. And I just love the domesticity of that, because you know that every single time they are anywhere, JJ puts his feet on the table and Kiara is like, you animal, we raised in a barn, put them down.
Exactly. Also, in this scene, we get even more of Mike being like, these boys aren't good for you and you shouldn't hang out with them. I thought I told you not to hang out with them anymore. I had such high hopes for you, Michael. Especially in this scene, because I was like, clearly this happens where like he feeds them. He cares about them to some extent because he gives them food, right? Like I was like, this seems like a cute little side thing that happens. So I really had high hopes for Mike going into season 2. I think at this point, if either of the Carreras are going to turn around, it's going to be more focused on Anna and Key's relationship, which kind of sucks, because I really thought that Mike was going to be the one gunning for the Pogues.
Yeah. I don't know, because it's just like, I think, because I do always think about, that Mike was from the cut, you know what I mean? Mike at one point was these Pogues, and it's just like, so you just do wonder where this scorn has come from, but, whatever. We also get another lovely moment of continuity, because I think you've made this note here, where it says, like, sometimes the way her parents word things makes it seem like she hasn't been friends with the Pogues for that long, but then in season 2 she says since kindergarten. So we're like, what is this about? I think
right? Like, that's the vibe I get from it. Like, when he's like, I thought I told you not to hang out with these boys. Or, like...
Yeah, that doesn't sound like... I feel like if she's been friends with them for 15 years,
Yeah, I don't know. Something about the way that they word things, like I said, and it goes into season 2. Like, it happens even more then. Where I'm like, this almost seems like you fell in with a new little friend group, and your parents think they're bad influences. I don't know if it's supposed to be more like when they grew up and became teenagers, they became more delinquenty or whatever. But especially when like Big John, I don't know. I don't think they know either. I don't think they do.
Yeah, I think my plausible deniability is because he mentioned the Kook Academy. So is that when she went to Kook Academy, obviously Kook, she cut off contact with the Pogues. So maybe they thought that the friendship's ended now. So they kind of almost view this friendship, when she rekindle friendship with them, should they like treat them as like new friends almost? Because they're like, oh, Kiara, but the girls at the Kook Academy. And then she's like, no, but they like, I don't know, what she's like, they like shoes and I like surfing. Which, by the way, Kiara, we're gonna get that nice misogyny out of you. You'll work through it. It'll be okay. But so I think the excuse I'll give them, the Pates, is maybe this is just like Mike and Anna are talking about like the Pogues as in like since they've become friends again. Like they were like, like we thought you cut them off for good and now you're back with them. But again, that is me probably giving the Pates too much credit. That is, are the Pates geniuses, or are we just reading too much into things? The Redux.
Into it. I made this note, and this definitely probably is reading too much into it. Part of me wonders if after season 2, like the whole reveal that Mike is a pogue and he got Anna pregnant, and that's how they had Kiara, because Anna was a kook. Part of me wonders if they started super not trusting the boys when things could progress into like when they start noticing, oh, we're boys and girls. You know what I mean? Like things could get sexual because in their mind, like teen pregnancy, well, we don't even know if it was teen, but the pregnancy thing with like kook, pogue, whatever, was like such a big thing for them, apparently. Like this was a big deal. Part of me wonders if they didn't start super trusting them when things went from like, oh, we're cute, teehee little like elementary school besties to maybe these people want to sleep with my daughter. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely see the merit in that. And I think also the pregnancy reveal, because I think that happens in season 2, I believe. But as in that Mike probably unexpectedly got Anna pregnant, like probably not planned. I think that happened in season 2. So I think that feels semi-plausible. But, you know, again, are we giving them too much credit?
Probably.
Top 806.
Full agree. Also, I think that it makes me sad because it seems like from this scene, she has like a sweet relationship with Mike. Like the little hug that she gives him when she walks in. And
That was really cute.
Have food for my friends. And then Mike kind of caves because he loves his daughter. Like that was cute to me. And then nothing in season 2. I mean, her relationship with her parents in season 2 was exclusively tumultuous. So
yeah,
whatever. I guess maybe season 3. It is going to be interesting to see. So Sarah comes to the chateau to confront John B about what he said to her and explain that she didn't tell her dad, because I think Topper revealed that he's the one that told Ward. So Sarah realizes now, like, oh, well, he definitely thought it was me because someone did tell my dad. And also, we've talked about this previously, and I just have a note, like a little note about it, but I do wonder how long John B and Sarah have known each other for. Because the island's small. Like, I feel like they all grew up together.
Definitely. And I think it's just like, because, it implies that they probably, haven't been, like, they probably aren't whenever friends, but they definitely are familiar enough with each other. Like, even the way they talk to each other, like, the way that John B calls her Sarah Cameron, and, like, I think it's just, like, they definitely are familiar enough with each other. And, yeah, I like to imagine that they've kind of grown up adjacent to each other.
I also love the fact that Sarah has one of those names. You know those people, because I'm one of those people. People do this to me, where like they say your first and last name together a lot, where they call you, like, people say that about me a lot. Like, I know. I've always done that my whole life. Like they said my first name and last name together, and they do that to Sarah a lot. So I don't know.
I have friends like that. It's quite sweet. Yeah, I think I quite like that, and I think also it kind of definitely is like, it's almost like, not to get too deep into it, but I think it almost feels like a brand, you know what I mean? Like she is like Ward Cameron's daughter. She is the Sarah Cameron, Goop Princess. And I think that obviously weighs very heavily on her, as it's revealed in later episodes. But I just find the scene very funny because there's absolutely no point that Sarah has walked across the entire island to give John B a bag of crisps or chips. Sorry to the Americans, bag of chips, and to like say that she didn't tell her dad. I'm like, Sarah, come on. Like this is immediately where I was like, oh, your hot eyes are so showing. This is so embarrassing for you. Like you came all this way to like have a 2-minute conversation with him. You could have messaged him. You could have DM'd him. Like, come on, girl. But I was like, that's cute. I was like, I love that, Sarah. Being a simp on Maine.
They simp on Maine and side and spam fan and Stan Twitter.
Everywhere. But yeah, so after we have this, then we have Pope and JJ go on the grocery run for Hayward. We got here eventually. And then they end up at the golf course where Topper and Rafe are. As you've said, very, very well, being general menaces to society. So true. And this is where Topper has his absolutely embarrassing rant about Coke. He's like, we should have done more. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, just stop talking. Which is sort of how I always feel whenever Topper appears on screen. I'm like, just stop.
I thought you were going to say, that's how I feel when I do Coke. I was like,
yeah. What can I say? This is a podcast where we find out a lot about each other. Like the fact that I've done Coke.
I'm filled right now.
For context, I've not done Coke. That was a joke. I've never done Coke in my life.
Sounds exactly like something someone who has done Coke before would say.
To quote Sophie Turner in Do Revenge, I wouldn't even know what Coke looks like. I have absolutely no idea. But so Pope is minding his little business, and then Rafe comes out. He literally comes out swinging with his golf club. And he just attacks him for some reason, because he's like, "You're on my turf," and I'm like, "Bitch, grow up! Like you're not."
You know that he delivers here, you dingus. I think they want beers, and then Pope won't give it to them.
Yeah, and Rafe is just really normal about that instead of asking.
He's like, Faith is not like that.
He's like,
He's not a
he
fan.
beats him fucking bloody with a golf
Rafe
club.
wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I'm laughing. I'm nervous laughing, guys. I'm not laughing at Pope getting the shit beat out of him. I'm nervous laughing because it's just so ridiculous. But
yeah, so Topper, I mean, this is, I think, we've had definitely indications before that Rafe is an actual psychopath, but this is definitely what I was like, yeah, he is absolutely fucking mad. Like, Jesus.
Well, and this scene kind of made me think maybe Topper redemption, because I guess baseline human good deed, he doesn't let Rafe cave Pope's skull in.
Oh my gosh.
He's kind of like, stop, Rafe, quit it.
Rafe, this isn't you.
Oh. Can you imagine if Topper got in between him? It's like, look at me. Look at me, Rafe.
Rafe,
oh my gosh,
you.
No one ever talking about the TAFE undertones of this scene. Everyone else talks Rary this, Rary that. No one ever talks about TAFE.
TAFE. Rapper.
Oh, rapper.
Rapper. Hashtag rapper for life.
Nope, that was a little dangerous.
I know, I was about to do the other pronunciation. I was like, no, let's not.
No, don't do that. We already talked about tea this episode.
Yeah, let's not. Anyway. I mean, and somehow the scene gets even worse. Because then when Pope crawls back to the boat, JJ comes out with, that was the best $100 of my life. Now, Alex, what do you think about that?
For those of you who are unaware or are recent to the Outer Banks, because this was like pretty early on in the Outer Banks fandom that we found this all out. For those of you who are new or not familiar with the lore, you know, JJ like runs back. They don't say where they're going. They cut all of this. Thank the Lord. JJ runs back to the boat and is like, best $100 of my life. And we found somebody located audition tapes for Rose Cameron.
Oh god.
Oh my god, it's so awful. Somebody located audition tapes for Rose Cameron. It's not Caroline that's in the tape. It's somebody else auditioning for Rose. Where it's basically her propositioning JJ for sex for $100. And then there's like this still that went around that never is in anything. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's this still of him standing in front of Rose Cameron, which he never is in the show, but it's like clearly a shot, like a full, it was shot in film.
Yeah.
Standing in front of Rose Cameron being like, making a face, kind of like, is this happening?
And from there, was born the most cursed phrase in human existence, Mr. 16.
She asks how old he is, and he's like 16, and she's like, okay, Mr. Oh my god, actually, I cannot. What were they fucking thinking? What were they thinking?
I'm so glad they've cut that, but I mean, we're left with the remnants of best $100 of my life, because we're like, what does that mean? Like, what? Like, we can only assume that this is where that preposition scene was meant to happen. But even if that wasn't, like, what was, what was he getting
casually? And
what was he doing that he was getting tipped $100 for?
Well, and then it makes, which we'll get to it, but it makes more sense in Midsummer's when he's like, Rose looking like Lady Liberty, and she kind of makes like a weird shifty face, you know, like off the wall, insane. It totally would have changed my outlook on Rose's character. I don't know what they were thinking. So I'm so sorry if you were living in blissful ignorance, and now you know.
Bubble for you. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But if we couldn't suffer with this alone, everyone had to know.
Yeah. We could not hold this in, and we're sorry if you now know. But right after this truly heinous turn of events of a scene, we have after they sink Chopper's boat, because JJ and Pope go back.
Oh yes, we forgot about that part.
Whoopsie daisy. So they go back and sink Chopper's boat. Pope pulls the plug. JJ's just there for lookout.
Also, I may say, I would recommend going back and watching the scene, if only to actually laugh yourself silly over Pope's diving posture. Because Pope belly flops. I don't know, Alex, I don't know if you remember this. Pope actually belly flops off the boat both times.
So
and
bad.
I think
that they didn't have a stunt double for that one. It was just JD.
And next episode, I think in episode 4, because we're doing episode 3 now. Episode 4, there's like Top obviously finds out that, you know, with CCTV footage, he finds out that it was Pope, and they've got like a still of Pope diving off the boat, but it's him mid belly flop, and it is the funniest thing in the world. I would highly recommend you just go and watch that.
That's like the same thing as like, it's not meant to be funny, but it is. Of like, you know, in season 2 when John B's looking in the mirror before he's gonna make himself have an attack of acute appendicitis, and it's the way the mirror warps his face.
Oh my god. Outer Banks is a comedy. Thank you for asking.
So funny. And like Chase is looking in this mirror like stone cold, seriously.
Anyway.
So we have them sitting on the surfboards, John B and Key. And we have the moment that I was like, yeah, this is intentional. And this, I take it back. This is the one moment in the entire season where I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? What is the other explanation for this? He looks at John B and is like, do you remember when I kissed you? Did you tell JJ?
Like what? Like I know we say this a lot, but like I don't think I've ever meant this as much as I do now. What was the reason, Jonas Pate? What was the reason? Like what? There is no non-Jiara explanation for this because it's not like did you tell Pope? Did you tell Sarah? I don't know at this point, but did you tell JJ? JJ? I'm like actually, Pate, you're actually feral. You're unhinged. You need to be locked away. What was the reason?
You're sick. You're demented.
Sick and twisted.
Like, did you? I'm speechless. Like, if it was not supposed to be Jiara, then why didn't you have her say, did you tell anyone?
Did you tell them?
The others? Did you tell Pope? Because I mean, you're trying to push I can't even speak. You're trying to push the pokey agenda right now. So yes. I'm very confused.
Oh my god, it's just like, yeah, and again, I mean, we've said this 100 times, but like, I just find it so hard to believe that Jonas Pate was like, Jiara wasn't planned. You know, I was really surprised.
I never saw that coming.
Surprised?
Well, and I think bottom line though with that is like, I believe it. You know, the further I don't believe it, but I could see they can't deny that they had a female character with 3 straight boys, allegedly straight.
Allegedly. Hashtag gay Pope for life.
Yeah, gay Pope for life. You can't tell me that they didn't at least try to spin Key with all of them at some point, which then they make the heinous decision at the end of the season. But like, you can't tell me that they didn't at least think about it. It's impossible that they didn't. Whatever. I also have a note about this, but we have our nice surfing montage, and we need to sit and savor this because the Pates fucking hate us and don't want us to have nice things. So it's the only one we get, even though we're supposed to have another.
Yeah, we are still so salty about the surfing. Because in case you also didn't know about this, there were stills that were released during the filming of season 2 that basically made it look like that we were going to get a surfing scene in season 2. So naturally, we were all ecstatic. We were like, yes, oh my gosh, we love a surfing scene. You know, all we want is just pose, hang out. We love that. And then it was cut because we can't deserve nice things.
Literally, you know, when you're on Netflix and you pause, and then when you're paused for long enough, it goes out and you see like play, resume, more episodes. It's like JJ, Key, and Pope sitting on their fucking surfboards in a scene that is not even in the show. That's like the still picture that sits up there and taunts me when I pause actually like longer than like a minute.
They actually need to be locked up for their crimes. Like that's actually just unfair. But yeah, so this scene is very bittersweet for that reason, because I'm just like, the things we could have had. We could have had it all.
It's just fucking sucks. And I would storm Netflix right now for that scene. Like, the amount of things in season 2 that they could have cut in favor of that scene. But
so many. Yeah, I can think of about 5 off the top of my head. But anyway, speaking of storms, we then move on. My segues are getting worse and worse as these episodes progress. So then the last scene of this episode is them getting their little underwater camera thing and taking it out onto the seas. Now, I may say, JJ was looking fine this scene. Him in the grey sweatshirt with the sunglasses and the red baseball cap. Oh, come on.
Anytime they put
this is him in his prime.
Hat. Oh my god.
We deserve more of this. But you know, they're trying to find, you know, they're setting the camera down, of course, because it's a scene on the water and the Pates are the Pates. It is unnecessarily tense. You know, of course there's impending danger. And, you know, they're trawling the seabed, being like, can we find the Royal Merchant? And then, dun dun dun, guess what they find? Just as the storm's putting overhead, the Royal Merchant.
Oh, you want me to guess? Oh, I
we'll redo that. What did they find on the seabed?
I don't know, Mia. What do they find on the seabed?
Hold your horses. The shipwreck of the Royal Merchant. Crazy. Absolutely
crazy.
Wild.
And then once again, the Pates would have ate on network TV.
This is what I'm saying. And I did make a note here that I'm surprised it didn't end with another woe and then a fade to black before they could reveal what it was. Because that's how they've ended the past 2 episodes.
Every fucking episode. That I could take a shot every time an Outer Banks episode ends with some kind of like, whoa, what is that? You know?
With a fade to black. Which may I say, at the end of last episode, where Kiara like gasps like in the grave and she's like, you guys better see this, and it's an envelope. Like, come on. You know, like that. Why are you gaslighting?
I don't know, Mia. I don't really see postage that much anymore.
That is true. I think I'd be afraid if I saw something deliver through my door.
Ah!
What was that? Must be one.
What is that? That's poor. She actually was gasping at the bird on it. She just can't believe that someone is nicknamed that.
Yeah, she's like, wow, Big John. Yeah, but anyway, the episode ends with them finding the shipwreck of the Royal Merchant, and we're only 3 episodes in. So
Wow.
you must be thinking, wow, this can only go well from here. Of course, they're going to find the treasure, and
They
that's the season
literally
end.
just won it.
Yeah. Which was a move, which was a bold. That was a bold move on the Pates' part, having a season about a treasure hunt, and then having them find the shipwreck where the treasure is located at the end of the 3rd episode. I was like, wow, Pates, you know how to pace the season.
I will say I do remember watching, and I was like, what? There's like 7. Wait, how many episodes are in season 1? Fuck.
I want to say 10, but I don't think that's true.
Oh,
No,
I think it is true. Well,
Yeah.
I was like, there's 7 more episodes. So what
Yeah,
are those about?
I was like, this feels too easy. And what's about to go wrong? And so many things.
If only you know.
But yeah, what were your thoughts on this episode overall?
Better.
Yeah,
I think is
I
the
agree.
best way to phrase that. This was when things took a turn, and for the better. Except gave me false hope because the next few episodes are paced pretty well. I think like they're good episodes, and then the last 3 of the season, nothing could have prepared me for.
Those last 3 episodes, I feel you need to do lots of drugs before them. Again, I don't know why we keep talking about drugs this episode. Let's be clarify neither Alex or I have partaken in drugs.
Not on drugs. Stop saying that.
We promise. I know this episode has been really unhinged, but we're not on drugs.
It's been very unhinged this episode.
I know. I think it was the tea. I think it was because I moved down to the living room for this for my Wi-Fi, and I think just the energy of the room has just
That's what happens
shifted.
with microwave teas.
Yeah, bad things happen.
Don't do drugs, kids. Don't microwave your tea.
Yeah. If there's anything we want you to take away from this episode, it's don't microwave tea and don't do drugs. And don't force tea down an unconscious person's throat. Yeah,
or don't do that either, please. Also, leave a like for Fairly Odd Parents Chopper arc.
Subscribe for paragliding Topper. one like is one prayer for Fairly Odd Parents Topper.
One like is one prayer that something comes out of the water and chomps him off the paraglider. You not just see him for the rest.
Like something from Jurassic World just goes whoop, just closes over him.
The show could end there, and I'd be like Jiara wouldn't even have to. I'm kidding, Paige. Don't take this seriously. But Jiara couldn't even happen, and if that happened to Topper, I would be okay with season 3.
Yeah, I'd be like, wow, show of the century.
Jurassic World gets introduced into the Outer Banks universe.
I mean, we've already had the crocodile fight, the alligator fight even. So I'm just like, natural progression, that's all I can say. But yeah, I think I definitely enjoyed this episode a lot. I think this is where the plot really starts moving. And yeah, I was like ready for the ride. I think the first 2 episodes, I was like, this is fun. But this was like, okay, I'm intrigued to see where this is going. I want to know about the Marshmen, why they did. I want to know about Jiara. I want to know about Topper and his strangely gelled hair. I want to know about the Royal Merchant. Like, wow, have they found it 3 episodes in?
What is going on?
They left me with so many questions. Did they answer all of them? No.
Maybe not even half.
No, I'd say they maybe answered one question, and they answered that question with another question. So
and then that's how seasons work.
It's like Medusa. Like Outer Banks is like Medusa. Like you answer one question, or you cut the head off, and then 3 more questions grow.
Editing Mia currently without a microphone. I meant Hydra. I don't know why I said Medusa. Don't at me for my Greek mythology knowledge. I did read Percy Jackson, I promise.
Also, as we're recording this, Jordan, you're getting a call out now because I literally just tell me this is not the most threatening message. My Discord just pinged, and Jordan goes, "How is my Christmas chapter coming? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Don't think I forgot."
Wow, Jordan.
What the fuck?
991.
Nightmare. You're my sleep paralysis.
But also now that I have Alex on the jury. Alex, where is the Christmas chapter?
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Jiara's Pod. We'll see.
Don't worry, Jordan. I'll get her one day.
It's out there somewhere. Not
in your brain.
Not on Google Docs, but it's somewhere.
Yeah.
Well,
much like Topper flying in the sky. It's
there. I don't know. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode because it was
absolutely unhinged to film.
It was something.
Yeah. It's currently midnight where I am. Oh my gosh, this explains it. It's Midnight Mia.
This is why, except
we've got Midnight Mia on tape.
We've caught her. Much like grainy Bigfoot footage.
Yeah.
This episode's gonna be so fucking long, guys. I'm so sorry.
Whoopsies.
Whoopsie daisy.
Whoopsie daisy.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed it. Love you guys.
stay fun, stay sexy. Likes, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, Miss Soph, for giving us that outro.
Smash the like button.
Smash that subscribe button. Punch it with your fist.
Much like Rafe punches everyone. And thank you for. Oh God. I can't.
Let's just end it now. All right, love you guys.